Hi everybody, Giselle Grenier here from artplace.ca. In today's little video snippet, I'm going to be creating a little 4x4 painting. It's a primary color painting, no white involved, and it's for a challenge for a swap I'm hosting called The Starving Artist. Now, this is the photo I told people to use for the challenge, but it's pretty dark. So I just want to give you a little quick tip on, most of you have some type of smartphone. If not, you can do this on your computer, but specifically for this, you open it up and you download the picture, and I put the link on the page, and I'm going to click edit, and I'm going to use Snapseed, and Snapseed is free. So when I have that, I'm just going to click the pencil. I want to tune the image, and I want to adjust the brightness, and this is for video purposes only. Okay, so you can adjust the contrast because it's just too dark for me to see, but for on camera it's easier to see this way. So I'm just going to click OK, and that's it, and click done. All right, so then from there I have to go to my Snapseed gallery and then take a look for it and load it up, and there we go. I'm going to put it right here, taking a huge chance. I don't know if I'm going to leave it there because you know what's going to happen. I'm going to get paint all over my phone. So I'll leave it there for now. And primary colors only. So what I have here is I have a yellow, a red, and a blue. And I'm using the DecoArt Americana Premium Acrylic paints. So I'm using Ultramarine blue, Hansa yellow light, and Pyrrole Red. Now normally when painting in orange, I would use maybe like a naphtha red light or cadmium red light or something like that. But in the line I don't have those colors. I don't think they have a cadmium red light. I'm not sure. I'd have to look. But so I'm going to use Pyrrole Red and see what happens. What was allowed though was priming your surface. So the swap challenge is called Starving Artist, and you can use really whatever you want as your substrate, but you were only allowed to use a blue, a yellow, and a red. But you could use gesso to prime only. You can't use gesso to mix with your colors. You have to use the colors pure, but you can mix the colors together. And to make it even more challenging, you can't use a paintbrush. You have to use something else. So you can use a finger, an eraser. I'm going to be using a Q-tip. We'll see what happens. So what I'm going to do is I've got just paper towel. This is I guess you could call it a poor man's wet palette. Paper towel folded into thirds, dipped it in water, squeezed it out, then put my paint on there. So you don't have to spend all that money on a stay wet palette. I'm going to take my colors and mix them up here. The reason why I don't put the colors here is that depending on how wet the paper towel is, they'll run down. So, all right, so I want to get my initial sketch on there. So well, let's start first with the darks. So, when you look at the orange, there is no way on this earth I will be able to match these colors exactly. That's not the purpose of the challenge. The purpose of the challenge is to create your own representation of something like this using only those colors. You are allowed to let the white let your gesso show. Okay, so you can let your gesso show, you just can't use your gesso in the paint. So I'm going to start off using a little bit of Hansa yellow light and a little bit of Pyrrole Red, and I'm going to make some type of orange. Now I do have a nice orange vermilion hue, but no, it had to be primary colors. And this is meant to be fun. Don't overthink it. So the leaf will be here. So again, I'm just going to create my initial sketch here, just something round. And this Q-tip is probably going to be really falling apart by the time I'm done. Let's get that in there. When I told Jo what I was going to be doing for this swap challenge, she goes, "What were you thinking?" Well, I did paint another one before I did it, just to get a timing factor, because a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't have time." The other little one, it took me literally 10 minutes to paint. Okay, so look what's happening with my Q-tip. So, I could try to round it out a little bit. I can also use my fingers. Fingers, though, are great to remove paint. to also push the paint inside the texture of the canvas. So just get that rounded there. Just getting the underpainting done, that foundation. And there's a leaf here. So I'm just going to block that here. The leaf comes down this way. Take a little bit more. So really all you're looking for is something semi-round. And the challenge was you had to use this photo. You couldn't use anything else. While I've got that color on there, now I'm going to take a little bit more red, mix it right into that color, and while I get that Q-tip, roll that around to get that point. And I'm just going to pull that off. Now you can use more than one Q-tip. I'm going to see how far I can get with just this one here. Okay, now I'm just going to hold my phone because I've already got paint on my fingers. Joe will have my head if I get paint on my phone. And everybody's will look different. And that's what I'm hoping. I don't want anybody copying my work. It's to be your own representation. So I'm using the red here for the initial shadow. Make it a little bit more orange. And I can use my finger to do a little bit of blending. No tools, remember. Don't cheat. And I'm just going to take a little bit more of that brighter orange and add another layer of paint. So one thing to keep in mind is that when you're adding a bit more yellow, when you're adding the paint to, this is the Royal canvas paper, primed with the gesso, that if you start seeing white speckles showing through, the paint just hasn't gone into the pores yet. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry. I'm still using this side, and I'm going to take a speck of blue, and I'm going to go into this middle orange mixture. I can't rinse this. Like I said, you can use a bit more blue. You can use a bit of yellow. More than one Q-tip, but I want to see what I can do with this. And now I'm just going to get something in there. So and that's going to be the challenge for this stem right there. Okay. Can't use a heat gun to dry it. And I need to add a bit more blue. Right there, it's really dark. Right on there. Now I like how I've got that leaf coming down this way. It's not like that in the photograph, but I like how I've got that in there. And that's the beauty when you're the artist. You get to put your own spin on it. I like the edges there too. So I'm gonna leave that the way it is. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so this has to dry now, and then when I come back, I'm going to see how it's transparent. I'm going to put another dark. Now here it's much, much lighter. If I were to go in with the yellow to make it lighter, yellow is transparent. You need to make it opaque to cover that up. So all I'm going to do is go in with another layer of paint. And ideally what you would do is just go in with a little bit of white to go in here, and then that'll make it opaque, but can't use white. We could only use our primary colors. So we'll see what happens. And while I'm here, let me just get a shadow. That's actually touching the ground here. And I'm painting around the orange. This is negative space painting. Let's just make the edges interesting. I'll go use the rest of the color in that Q-tip. When I'm all done, I'm actually going to cut it because it's only supposed to be 4 by 4. Take a bit more of that blue right there. There's a strong shadow right there. Yeah, this is challenging. I don't know what I was thinking about when creating that. And the shadow is going to be the darkest right under this orange. All right, so let's let that dry. No heat gun, so I don't know how long it's going to take. Maybe about 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We'll come back. That's probably going to be dry, so we'll end up flipping over to the other side. All right, so it's dry now. Now this paint has actually gotten kind of, it's got a skin on it. I'm not going to bother going right into that, so I'll just mix some fresh colors. And that's pretty well, the outside is a little bit dry, so what I'm hoping is if I can just round it out, that I can use it as a pointy tool. So we'll flip that over. So I'm going to basically now go in and another coat. Now because the blue will overpower anything in here, I'm going to do this last. So I'm going to focus, where's my picture? And I'm going to focus on the color. See, the yellow is transparent, so this is a glaze now, adding some beautiful, beautiful warm tones. So the Hansa yellow light that I'm using here, might as well teach some color theory here. The Hansa yellow light that I'm using here is yellow that leans towards green, but an orange is orange. Ideally, the color which would have been nice is using, let's say, a Hansa yellow medium, and I've got the Traditions for that, which I could have used. So a warmer yellow, a warmer red would make a beautiful orange. And what I missed was that white reflective highlight. So I'm going to end up using some of the pure yellow for that. So I'm just putting that glaze over there just to brighten it up a little bit. Not too much because I want that pure yellow for the highlight to really stand out. And I think I'm going to use this side here for the leaf. Now I'm going to take a speck of red. A bit of yellow. And I just want to slightly tone it here. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Try not to look at the monitor too much because I get so distracted. Oh, I love that. I love that rough blend of color. Wow. Let's put a little bit here. Contrast. Let's put a little bit more here. Loving that. Go into the yellow. A bit more yellow. Mix it in with, it's going to mix in with the red that's already on the Q-tip. Take a lot of yellow. Just wipe a little bit off. And let's just get a bit of a blend there. And the light's right down here. So this is very similar to what you would do with oil painting. The way you would blend. I'm looking at my phone on an angle. So yeah, that should be okay. I'm going to flip it over now. Blue, yellow, a bit more yellow. Make that part really dark. And let's see, the leaf is super dark at the top. I got this backwards. I got it backwards. Silly me. Let's try that again. Definitely going to have to let this dry now. So in the direction that the petals would typically, the leaves would typically grow, and I can get some ridges of paint there to act as the light. Let's go into a little bit more blue. And I'm not, the photograph, this is why it's, if you can paint from life, it's always better. The photograph, the shadow, because the light's coming from this side, that looks black, and I know it's not black. If I zoom it up, got paint on my case. There we go. So it looks black, and I know it's not black. Let's try to roll that. I'm thinking now, doing this with a pencil probably would have been easier, the actual painting. All right, so now I'm gonna, a little bit more pure yellow. Oh, kids are outside. I miss my white. I miss the white paint. Holy cow. This is, oh, you can't see. Shoot. Because I've been trained, you know, values. You know how hard it is to get values with a white? I mean, especially when you're working with glazes. You're supposed to work with transparent colors, but oh my God, it's so much easier just to add white. And also using the right green, or sorry, the right blue and the right yellow. So use what you have, and like where I'm stuck now is I don't have the right red. I should be using a warmer red, and I should be using a warmer yellow. But I'm, see if I can use that long piece there. I'm basically doing a worst case scenario because it's likely that you guys may not have the right red or yellow either. Well, you will if you've taken my color theory course, but there we go. Liking that. Gonna flip it over, and that's looking pretty good. And actually, no, I'm gonna flip it back. I'm liking that dark part there. I want to accentuate that. Don't cover everything. Shadows horizontal, not diagonal, silly girl. All right, flip it back over. Just yellow. So now I'm going to come back in. Just going to punch up that highlight a little bit more. And then, you know what? It's done. It's done. So I'm using the paint really as to model the shape. I don't like that hair coming out of there. I'm using the paint to model, and this is one of the beauties of when you're using thick paint, is that it models quite nicely. When I say model, you're physically forming a shape, because what you're doing is you're creating a three-dimensional look out of something that's, you know, flat on the surface. There's nothing to it. Now the only thing is that highlight is perfect in technique, not in the right shape. So I'll see if I can curve that a little bit more. It's too much paint. I like the technique that I use. It's just the wrong shape. There we go. All right, let's bring that down a bit. I've got that hair that's there. Look what's happening. I'm getting paint everywhere. So I'm just going to blend that out. A bit more at the top. So light, so my sun really is down here. Sort of done. I'm trying to think of how, I think No, the light's coming this way. Looking at the photo, the light's over here. Not there. It's over here. It's more in front. It's not completely in the back. It's more in front. So another glaze. I love the way the colors are coming through on this. The only thing I wish I could do, and I'll never be able to do it with this Q-tip, is a much harder edge, because the oranges do have a hard edge on them. I mean, they are, you know, slightly textured, but I would have preferred a harder edge. Like, see, the stem is showing through here. There's no way I can cover that up. Not easily anyways. But I'm fine with that. There you go. And that's about it. So for the challenge, there's my orange, and no varnish, no nothing. Starving artist. We're talking, you know, limited, absolute limited supplies. So you can create this cute little painting. So, you know, people who have these, oh, I don't have the right supplies. Poo-poo on you. You don't need perfect supplies to create a cute little painting. Just use what you got in the house. There we go. I gotta go wash my hands. So that's it, you guys. We're finished. So even this, now the gray palette paper here is something I use for my videos. You don't have to have that. I could have even done my color mixing here, but I would have been doing this. This is just easier for you to see how I did it. All right, so if you don't have the Snapseed app, you can use Aviary, use whatever apps that come with your phone or your tablet. Just don't overthink it. Come in, take a look. This photo, what's the shape of the orange? Well, it looks like it's not really round. It's, you know, kind of squishy. So paint something in there. You know, orange is made with red and yellow. Use what you have. Do a few of these to practice color mixing. So just have fun with it and don't overthink it. All right, so I'm gonna let this dry. Then I'm going to cut it out, and I don't have to mail it for, I don't think I have to mail it for another 2 weeks, so it'll have plenty of time to cure. Especially when using the paint this thickly, it's got to cure. So it'll have plenty of time to cure. And I may mount it on a little piece of, no, I can't mount it on masonite, one surface. So whoever is going to get this is going to get this trimmed at 4x4. And I'll put it in a card to protect it so it doesn't bend in shipping. That's it. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and practice up this cute little study. Even if you're not participating in the swap, or if you're watching this video, the swap's already been finished. Try this out just to see what you can do. And I'm pretty well sure that your freestyle thing, you may actually like how the colors work. And you know what? There's no room for perfection in this world. It's use your energy, use your spirit, use your creativity, create a bunch of these, and art is for you, for nobody else. So in closing, I hope that you enjoyed this, and until I see you next time, stay inspired.